Do not fear us. What is your name?
My name is Sabanur.
The first season of X-Men 97 has finally come to an end, and there's a couple things to unpack from the end of this finale, which I'm going to do in this video. So by the end of episode 10, the X-Men basically got sent through time to two different time periods. One group got sent to 3000 BC, which is the past, and the other got sent to 3960 AD, which is the future. Now both of these time periods are parts of Apocalypse's lifespan, both his past and his future. The group that got sent to the past encountered a warrior who called himself Sabanur. Sabanur is the mutant that would become the villain known as Apocalypse, and his origin begins in Egypt. Now, Sabanur was born to a tribe called Akaba, and when his people were slain, the warriors discovered that he had grey skin that made him look hideous, and this caused the others to fear him. One of the warriors that killed his people, Baal, decided to take him in and raise him as his own. Due to Sabanur's mutant physiology, he grew to become a very fierce warrior, and could defeat armed members of the tribe with his bare hands. At the time, Egypt was ruled by Ramatut. Ramatut in Marvel Comics is essentially Kang the Conqueror who went back in time to rule Egypt, so this is one of his variants. Now, Baal told Sabanur that Ramatut was really this false idol, and he wasn't really a god. He was a man from a different time period. So to prove to Sabanur who Ramatut really was, he took him to a sphinx to find the ship that he came in. But the entrance to the cave collapsed, sealing Baal and Sabanur inside. Now, they eventually found what was left of Ramatut's ship, but Baal died due to lack of nourishment, while Sabanur survived thanks to his mutation. Baal had believed from ancient prophecies that Sabanur was destined to overthrow Ramatut, so after finally escaping the cave, he swore to claim his destiny and kill him. After finally making his way back to kill Ramatut, one of the Grand Viziers, which was like a chief officer in Egypt, he stopped Sabanur, claiming that it was the wrong time to make an attempt on the pharaoh's life, and he hid Sabanur as a slave and covered his face. Throughout his time as a slave, a woman named Nefri, who was the sibling of Ramatut's right-hand man, Ozymandias, became interested in Sabanur, but he couldn't show his face because of how hideous he looked. Now, remember that Ramatut was really Kang the Conqueror from the future. Well, it turns out he not only went back in time to rule Egypt, but he wanted Sabanur as his heir, because he knew that he becomes Apocalypse in the future. In fact, the Fantastic Four actually followed him back to that time period, but Kang would use his technology from the future to neutralize their powers and capture them. Ramatut demanded that Sabanur pledge his loyalty to him, but we know Sabanur wanted to kill the pharaoh, so that wasn't happening and he declined. So Ramatut used the same gun he used on the Fantastic Four on Sabanur in an attempt to kill him, and tossed him and Nefri in a pit of giant snakes. But naturally he survived the blast because of his mutation. This caused Sabanur's face covering to be removed, so Nefri now saw his face, which really turned her off. So he defeated the snakes, and this activated the true form of his mutation, which caused him to grow and become stronger. And he defeated the guards as well and took the name Apocalypse. Now, Ozymandias made his way to the Sphinx to steal Ramatut's secrets, but Apocalypse had already beat him to the punch and he attacked Ozymandias, turning him into sand. Ramatut and the Fantastic Four were able to flee and escape back to the future that they came from, and Apocalypse emerged in his new form while the people bowed to him. Okay, so now that you guys have a better understanding of Apocalypse's origin as it pertains to Egypt, we're going to jump to the future. The X-Men team that got sent to the future encountered a woman who referred to herself as Mother Ascani of Clan Ascani, along with a young Nathan Summers. Mother Ascani is really Rachel Summers, and she's the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey from the future. When Nathan was infected with the technovirus by Apocalypse, Rachel Summers showed up as Mother Ascani and took him back to the future to attempt to cure him. Now, when they went back to the future, the virus was killing Nathan very quickly. So in order to buy themselves time, Mother Ascani had him cloned. In this timeline, Apocalypse actually succeeded in taking over the planet and the entire human race. You know, the actual future that humans feared would come about if mutants were left unchecked. And Rachel Summers led the resistance known as Clan Ascani. Now, Apocalypse in this timeline was after Nathan Summers since he infected him with the virus in the past. So Mother Ascani had to move fast. But because the incubation chambers didn't open at the same time after the cloning process, they were only able to escape with the original Nathan Summers. This left Apocalypse to capture the clone, and he raised him as his own and called him Strife. So what happened was, Scott and Jean got sent to this timeline, but they were placed in different bodies, and only Mother Ascani knew who they really were, because part of Rachel's mutation allows her to send people's consciousness through time, which is how she sent Kitty Pryde back in time in Days of Future Past. Now, after Mother Ascani died in this timeline, Scott and Jean were left to raise Nathan Summers, but because they were in different bodies, he didn't know their true identities, and referred to them as Slim and Red. So we know for a fact that Apocalypse is definitely going to be the main villain for Season 2, but the real question here is who sent the X-Men through time, and what happened to the others because we haven't seen Storm, Wolverine, and Morph. So if I had to guess, I'd say Kang the Conqueror is responsible for this, because he's the only other villain I thought of with time traveling capabilities like this. Now, I did a video recently about a theory I had of Wolverine becoming Apocalypse's Horseman of Death, and I'm still sort of leaning towards that theory, but the post-credit scene of the finale of X-Men 97 shows Apocalypse picking up what looks like one of Gambit's cards, so there's a possibility that he could be the one that becomes Apocalypse's Horseman. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.